Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It is about the big breaking news today that we're going to be talking about in this video regarding Tottenham. Once again, as they have confirmed the appointment, it is now official that Antonio Conte is their new manager. It's the news that we all knew was coming from the past couple of days, but we kind of put it off just in case things went a bit south and didn't actually end up happening. It is Tottenham after all. But it has been confirmed today. We're going to be talking all about this big breaking news story. We're going to be talking all about this incredible and somewhat exciting managerial appointment down at Spurs right now. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and can be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's go back to talking about Antonio Conte becoming the new manager of Tottenham Hotspur. The Italian returns to the Premier League for the first time in 3 years since his 2-year spell at Chelsea ended. The 52-year-old has signed a contract until 2023 and will become the successor to Nuno Espirito Santo, who of course was sacked yesterday by Spurs, of course. Honestly, I'm a little surprised by this managerial appointment, not from Tottenham, of course, but more from Conte himself. I didn't think he would take such a big job like this. I didn't expect him to take a job at a club like Spurs, in all honesty, especially after he originally turned down the job back in the summer, of course, when he failed to see eye to eye with Daniel Levy. He didn't really think that Levy's ambitions were high enough, or that he was going to be met somewhere along the way with what Conte was demanding, and so on and so forth. But I guess after the season that has come about so far this campaign and everything that's gone on since, Levy's kind of caved in, I guess, to Conte's demands. Otherwise, why would Conte be there when he originally said and turned the job down in the first place? Levy must have at least agreed to a lot of what Conte was wanting at the club, and therefore that is why we have the managerial appointment set before us. Also, let's not forget that about a week ago, he was basically the front runner, the strong candidate linked with the Manchester United job should United have gave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. Of course, Man United are going through a bit of a rough period right now. Solskjaer was under extreme pressure, and it looked like Conte was being lined up to take his job. But of course, Solskjaer remains as United manager to the present day, and it seems that Conte wasn't going to be waiting patiently around anymore to jump straight back into a manager's role, and that is where Tottenham comes into play. Not only that, but this doesn't seem like the typical sort of squad that Antonio Conte would take over. You know, you look at the Spurs squad right now, it's very coachable. Yes, there are a lot of good to average players, or whatever it may be, that are coachable, and he can help guide to that next level, with a few below average ones, of course, some that are not good enough in my opinion, and of course the two world-class players in Son Heung-min and Harry Kane, when of course Harry Kane is on form and firing on all cylinders. A normal Conte side is something that normally is a few tweaks away from becoming a title challenging Conte squad. He likes to put the finish on it, so to speak. He likes to just kind of add his own sort of players to it, really, because he can coach players up to that next level. But he just likes to come in and just add that finish to really finish off, and then become a title challenging or trophy challenging squad overall. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this Tottenham squad has a long way to go before it becomes the finished article. And of course Conte would know that coming into the job, of course he would. But when you consider the rest of the Premier League, and you look at the Manchester Cities and the Chelseas of the Premier League with the financial power that they have, you look ahead at Liverpool and the Jurgen Klopp factor for at least the immediate future, you see that Conte will definitely have his work cut out for him. Yes, he should and probably will elevate Spurs a lot. I think their top 4 challenge instantly receives a major boost right off the bat for this season. But like I say, he does face a massive uphill struggle ahead when you look across the rest of the Premier League. Conte's arrival, like I say, is incredible news for Tottenham. Of course it is. They should be very lucky to have him. A world-class manager at the helm, coming into a squad and a club like Spurs is just incredible for them. Think like when Carlo Ancelotti, for example, took over Everton, and how fortunate and lucky and how excited they were to have such a world-class manager at a club that, for the most part, mid-table and average for a while and needing a real shot of adrenaline or something just to boost them and make them excited for the future. Obviously didn't pan out that way, but it's something like that. Let's face it, whether it's his time at Juventus, his time at Chelsea, or even his time at Inter, success has seemingly immediately followed instantly. It's possible he could replicate something similar here. Maybe not a Premier League title, but definitely maybe, or something along the lines of a domestic cup maybe, or a lower European cup, Europa League, the Europa Conference League for this season maybe. Conte's arrival, simply put, is incredible news for Tottenham. It's exciting, it's fascinating. A world-class manager coming into a club like Tottenham is just incredible for them. Think back to when like Carlo Ancelotti, for example, took charge of Everton. Okay, the story might not have had a happy ending, but at the beginning it was a shot of excitement and adrenaline that the Everton supporters were wanting for a while, especially after sitting in mid-table for seemingly ages and being pretty mediocre in all honesty. But Ancelotti came in, excitement happened, and everyone was very intrigued as to how this story would play out. Of course, it didn't have a happy ending, and maybe the same will happen with Tottenham, maybe it won't. But he does improve their chances. Think back to the times that he had at Chelsea and Juventus and Inter. Success seemingly instantly followed there with him. It's possible he could replicate something very similar here. I'm not talking maybe a title challenge, but a domestic cup, maybe a lower level European cup. His Europa Conference League chances certainly have gained a major boost with his managerial appointment for Spurs, so maybe that could be on the cards this season. And let's face it, some sort of silverware, no matter how small or how minor it may seem, would be a welcome addition to Spurs right now. And of course, it could be the building block they need to build something extra and bigger. That this could be the beginning of it. No doubt in my mind that this could be the beginning of it. And that mostly comes and happens through Conte, his man management and everything that goes along with that. I've spoken about how he elevates players' games and he takes them to a new level. He raises players' games whilst bringing in 3 or 4 of his own players to go along with that and blending it all together and creating a strong force, a title challenging squad, a cup challenging squad, whatever it may be. He will build something at this club. There is no doubt in my mind that that will seemingly be the case. Obviously, like I say, if you want an example of him coaching and of his man management and elevating players' games, look no further than when he was at Chelsea. He made Victor Moses and Marcos Alonso 2 average to slightly above average maybe players be even better and arguably be, for a time at least, the best fullbacks in the league. That's just how good this guy is at elevating people's games and bringing the best out of his players in a system that is well drilled into them and of course well disciplined. Yeah, okay, so his tactics may be a little bit more defensive and pragmatic than other managers that Spurs could have actually gone for. It may not be the most or majorly exciting level of football that you're ever going to see, but it will certainly get a job done. And as far as his tactics go, he's obviously going to bring an intricate and detailed level of tactical overview and tactical insight into the game, into Spurs, and it will definitely be a worthy asset to Tottenham going into every single game they go into. I would imagine that he will obviously make the defence, which is his strong point, and obviously what he tends to work from, the base of his operation, and he'll get them to perform at a much stronger level. We know from experience that he sorts out the defensive side a lot whenever he goes into a new club, and that will probably be no exception here. The midfield, he will probably make more resolute, more know-how, more smart, much more wiser to the game, and he will definitely elevate the attack as well. He will certainly elevate the attack. Just thinking back to his time at Chelsea, when of course he had Cesc Fabregas, Eden Hazard and Diego Costa, a frightening attacking trio there that tore the league apart that season. And of course, a few seasons later when he was at Inter, he of course had both Romelu Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez as prolific goal-scoring machines. So imagine if he can get the likes of Harry Kane, if he can get his head back in the game at Spurs and back fighting for the cause at Spurs, and of course reigniting that partnership that he's got with Heung-min Son. You've also got Lucas Moura to add to the mix. Maybe Dele Alli might have a future back at Tottenham, depending on how he decides to see things. Who knows? But there's a quite a bit of sheer quality in the attacking third at Spurs, and maybe he can get the best out of it and again raise their game, especially the attacking duo, the fearsome duo of Kane and Son. Look, on paper, if you didn't know what I'm trying to get at here, is that this should be a very good managerial appointment, and I believe it will be a good managerial appointment overall for Tottenham. I think instantly he comes in right off the bat, he boosts their chances of top 4 this season, and maybe even a trophy. If not for this campaign, then certainly for the next campaign afterwards. It's a managerial appointment that, okay, may not be for the long term. Remember, he is quite a confrontational character. If he feels disrespected, it could explode at any moment. If promises aren't being kept or agreements aren't being kept between him and the Spurs hierarchy, the Spurs board, chairman, so on and so forth, it could all kick off and it could all end up in flames and end up in tears. But for the short term at least, he elevates the club. He's going to raise the players' games. He's going to raise this squad up. And for however long he stays at Spurs, it could make for a very interesting and an exciting road ahead for them, for everybody associated with Tottenham Hotspur, from the board to the players to the fans. He is just that good. However, in saying that, it's not always that straightforward. Certain managers, regardless of how good they are, how good we perceive them to be, just aren't good fits for certain clubs. You look at Everton, for example. I mentioned them earlier with the whole Carlo Ancelotti appointment. Top quality manager, top quality managerial appointment. It just didn't work out in the end for them. He had a short time there, admittedly, about a year and a half or so. But there was no real progression there. Sure, there were a few good moments, but there was no real progression from Everton as a club to rise up the league or even challenge properly for any kind of European football space. But it just didn't work out for Ancelotti at Everton. Now, I think that Spurs are in a better position than Everton, but it's still not a foregone conclusion, and I think it is worth taking into account and worth noting that that is a possibility of happening, basically. Of course, for Spurs, they hope it will work out, but it's always worth bearing in mind. For me, Conte, if he can get Harry Kane's head back in the game first and foremost at Spurs, get him playing how he used to a few years ago, sort out a very unreliable defence and find the right combination of midfielders in that team, in that squad, get them used to his style of play and just get that level of discipline that he has, that he can implement on this squad, I am very keen to see how well he does. Genuinely am, because I think that he will obviously do very well, and I think that with everything that he brings to the table, everything that he brings to this club, he will certainly raise Tottenham's game, and they could be in for a very interesting ride ahead, like I say, and I'm very intrigued from the outside looking in to see how well they do. And for me, it's hard to bet against them for top 4 this season, in all honesty. It's definitely hard now to bet against them for top 4. It'll be interesting, but we wait and see. But of course, this is all just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Antonio Conte becoming the new manager of Tottenham Hotspur? Spurs fans, what do you make of this appointment? Are you happy? Are you not happy? I imagine 99.99% of you are happy. But Just in case, let me know down in the comment section. I'm sure all of your comments, thoughts, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, will make for interesting reading. Neutral and rival fans, I want your opinions on it too, to see how you feel about this news, particularly United fans who, of course, were after Conte supposedly last week, but then stuck with Solskjaer instead. So what's your thoughts on that? I'd love to know down in the comment section. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.